Ba ba da ba 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 ba. It has only been days, but guess who's back? Karen Wood, Nick Brown, Richard's behind us, and we are loose. Welcome, welcome, welcome to your Wednesday.
Oh dear, it's an exciting morning, isn't it, Nick? It's lovely to be back.
Oh, it
Um,
is.
and we had Richard singing in our ear, and even before that, I was listening to a bit of, God music, as I call it. I had a sort of a bit of a spiritual moment, and I was listening to some music I've got on my phone to sort of like change your mindset to get you
Absolutely.
in the mood for the day.
Absolutely. There is nothing like music to change the mindset and the mind frame. It is.
Again, he's
Yeah.
off again.
He's off because Richard does have a voice as sweet as honey and twice as sticky. And to go from a romantic ballad in like a romantic ballad to Meatloaf in less than 2 minutes is something special.
Yes.
Um, so absolutely, it is Wednesday. We are back. Thank you for joining us. It is, of course, Let Loose. It's Karen Wood and Nick Brown with Richard in it, whispering his sweet nothings gently in
Or
our ear
singing. Or
and
singing.
singing to continue the upliftment of your week. And
Yes.
it is a pleasure to be here and to be joined by such wonderful people, both at home and online, but also in the technology. It really is kind of like you've got these people in your head when all you can do is hear their voices, Richard.
Yes.
It's it's funny because I was doing something on the. I've got to, this is hilarious. I was doing something on the computer and I was typing away, and my T button was sticking. And
Oh.
as I was typing really, really quickly, I was dropping my T's in the text, and all I could hear was, "Here we go again, typical Nick dropping your
Ah,
T's." And
love
oh,
it.
he's in my head now. He's in my head now. But yeah, it was so fun. It was like Richard is with me.
Oh.
But Richard has the same problem with his niece that he has with me when it comes to asking for butter. Oh, well, but yeah, it's funny how these things stick. And in actual fact, ironically, I was talking to a group of people yesterday. We were talking about evidence. Um, no, it wasn't a group of people. It was just one person. It's been a
Ah,
long week. And we were talking about these things that stick in your head about people. Um,
yes.
and these are the things that are evidence when they come through in mediumship, but they are also these nuggets of joy in our lives. So for me and Richard, it will always be the letter T.
Yes.
Among other things, obviously, but the one that stands out really is the T. With me dad, it was the phrase 2 minutes because he'd just ring you up and say 2 minutes and hang up on you. And you had to be at the front door. Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna say. But
Yeah.
he didn't even ask if I was at home. It was just like 2 minutes, and I had to be there. And if I didn't come, it'd ring again. I'm Ria. Where are you? Well, actually, I'm in Scotland. So I couldn't take 2 minutes. But no, these little nuggets are the things that are those moments and rays of joy in our lives, and they shouldn't
Absolutely.
be. They shouldn't be understated as just to how important they are in our lives, and because it reminds us of how important people are in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think for me today is all about people, the need, the connection, and the ability to uplift each other. What do you say, Karen?
I absolutely agree with you. I really do. It's important to surround yourself with lovely people. And I am very grateful because I have some amazing people in my life that I'm extremely grateful for.
Yeah,
So, yes. They may not be in close proximity to me, but I know that they're only a phone call away. You know, my son William, for the past 4 months has been traveling around the world, and but wherever he's been, you know, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, he was in Rio on Monday. We always have a video chat, and it feels like he's sort of in the next room. It doesn't feel like he's thousands and thousands of miles away, but it's that connection you make with each other that's
Yeah,
important.
definitely, definitely.
So
Speaking
talking
of
about
connections,
people, yes,
yes.
connections.
Let's say
We've got
hello to
some
who's on.
connections out there too, haven't we?
I'll
Yes.
let you go first because it'd be nepotism for me.
Ah, hello, Linda. Lovely to see you. We knew you were on Monday, but we couldn't see you. So good morning, Linda. Lovely to have you. And she says you look good, Nick.
Yeah.
So that's
Yesterday
good.
was an interesting day.
Ah,
Good
okay.
morning to Dave B. Hello.
And Shaz Ferry on Facebook. Good morning to you. I love your gorgeous picture.
Yes. Oh, and of course,
Ah,
yes. Reminder: Shaz Ferry will be on the Monday show in a few weeks' time. See details. Boom, boom, boom. Sam B. Um, K. Hand pink. Oh yes, because YouTube doesn't send out YouTube doesn't send out the emojis, so we have to read the emojis.
oh, I see. Good morning, Sandra Redfern on Facebook.
And Kelly Rocket, greetings, gorgeous folks. Greetings to you, my darling, and a good evening to you too as well.
Hello, Serendipity 589. Lovely to have you with us.
And Michelle Croston, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Julia Hay. We'll see if we will be doing readings throughout the show, and it's lovely to have you with us.
And Carol Jameson, now there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Hello.
Hello, Wendy Short. Wendy's on Facebook with us this morning.
And his new as well, Wendy. Nice to see you, Wendy. And Caroline Rachel, good morning. I love that rose.
Hello, Chrissy Wheatley. Nice to have you with us.
I'll try and be a bit louder this week, Chrissy. Good morning to the good morning to the matriarch herself, Deb
The
Clark.
Queen
Good
of
morning, gorgeous.
Hosts. The Queen of Hosts is
The
our Deb.
Queen of Hosts.
Hello, Ellie Sunshine. What a beautiful name.
Yes, indeed. And Alison Gibbs, morning. Another first timer. Welcome along on Facebook.
Oh, fabulous. And Carolyn Jane Brooke, all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
And Tracy McIntosh says hi. Hi to you.
And Robert Mace on Facebook. Hello to you.
Good morning, Robert. And good morning to everyone who is watching live on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, do not. Oh, we better say hello. Oh, we've got
Oh,
to
we can't
say hello.
forget him, can we?
Hello, Neil Payne. Good morning, good sir. Good to see you. And of course, there's Eunice too. Hey, Eunice.
Hello,
Is everyone
Eunice.
gathering? Everyone's
Hello,
gathering.
Neil. They are, yes.
Absolutely. But remember, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. You can actually watch live on the app, but you can't comment yet. But of course, we also do have a TikTok account as SPTV, where you will get to hear those funny tones of the wonderful Richard when he comes on in the evenings and does his readings with the oracle cards. It's all exciting stuff. I do love a bit of TikTok time. And one day I will join when I'm appropriately attired to join in and say hello.
That's the beauty of listening to TikTok or anything like that, because you can sit in your jammies and just be comfortable, can't you, Nick?
Yes, you can. Yes. Comfort is absolutely essential. But sometimes the level of comfort is inappropriate for a live feed.
Yes, I
Um,
understand that. I understand
Considering
that.
everyone has worked so hard to get to where we are on TikTok, the last thing I want to do is get a strike or a ban because I was showing a bit of cleavage. So we
Absolutely.
Besides which, people ain't got time for that. They don't want to see.
No,
Um,
no.
but we are, of course, here today. Welcome along to everyone that is either watching or listening. Whether you've said hello or not, we say hello to you all across the globe because we are about to be let loose.
We are. And I'm going to ask because I'm on TikTok and my followers are growing, but I need more followers so that I can jump on and be with Richard on the show, which I would quite like to do actually, to go to pop on there. So I've got about 240 something now. So I think it's 300, isn't it, Richard, before you can have your box there.
You can join in,
So
yeah.
so I can join in. So about 320. So if anybody's on TikTok on here, please follow me on TikTok, Karen Wood. I think I'm Karen Wood 940. I think that's my number. But anyway, come and follow me because then I can get more. I can get more followers, and then I can actually jump on with Richard on SPTV on the TikTok channel. So
Absolutely.
please do.
And if there are any of my followers watching on TikTok, it's even easier to find Karen. Just go to my profile, go to my followers, click on it, and you'll see her in the list because I follow and am followed by Karen. Also, along with SPTV, if you haven't done that yet as well. So it's easy to find Karen either by the handle, or if you're already with me, look on my list. She's there because I follow Karen. Oh, I love that, Chrissy. Chrissy Wheatley says
Oh,
it is an internet sensation on TikTok. He really is. He's definitely got,
it is.
as everybody knows, Richard's voice is the famous part of himself. And so, he's definitely got the voice for it. As opposed to me this morning, I was croaking like a 90-year-old frog. But yeah, it's good fun on there. It's very chatty. It's that sense of community and coming together, which is the most important part. And I just love it. I love it. I love it. And SPTV is easy to find on any social platform because Richard
Absolutely.
uses the same username and it's simple at SPTV UK. You can find SPTV very, very easily. And if you're already here's the thing, if you are a follower of TikTok, go to the list and you will see Karen interacting with the SPTV account and you can follow her from there as well. Simples.
Simples. I like that. I like that. Now, I've got something I want to share with you today. As most of you know, I am a lady that loves words, that loves chatting, that works with words, even when I'm doing readings. And I use this reading that I'm going to read to you on as a during a church service the other week. And you know when something resonates with you, Nick, when you feel it and it just you know that this was meant to be for you. And I felt this morning that I needed to share this reading with everybody who's listening to us this morning because I feel that this will resonate with a lot of people. So if it does, please let me know your thoughts on this reading because I do love a discussion about words. So this reading is entitled Breathe. She sat at the back and they said she was shy. She led from the front and they hated her pride. They asked her advice and then questioned her guidance. They branded her loud, then were shocked by her silence. When she shared no ambition, they said it was sad. So she told them her dreams and they said she was mad. They told her they'd listen, then covered their ears and gave her a hug while they laughed at her fears. And she listened to all of it, thinking she should be the girl they told her to be, best as she could. But one day she asked what was best for herself instead of trying to please everyone else. So she walked to the forest and stood with the trees. She heard the wind whisper and dance with the leaves, and she spoke to the willow, the elm, and the pine, and she told them what she'd been told time after time. She told them she never felt nearly enough. She was either too little or far, far too much, too loud or too quiet, too fierce or too weak, too wise or too foolish, too bold or too meek. Then she found a small clearing surrounded by firs, and she stopped and she heard what the trees said to her. And she sat there for hours, not wanting to leave, for the forest said nothing. It just let her breathe.
Beautiful. You know what, I truly, truly, truly can resonate with that. I see it far too much, not just
Yes,
in this way of life, but in everything. Everyone's always so focused on the extreme point of the argument rather than recognizing that life is a spectrum and we are all part of that connection. Which part of a rainbow is the most important part of the rainbow? The answer is all of it, because
yes,
all of those colors blended together make the white light. And that is absolutely, as Shaz Ferry says, beautiful. It is absolutely, it sums it up. And the one thing that I was always taught in development is that a reading and the philosophy, especially in a church environment, is the reading that everyone should be able to take.
yes,
I would hope that not a single person would not resonate with that, because it is a reminder that you are perfect the way you are, and that silence can indeed be the healer when you just sit and listen to the voice of your own heart rather than,
yes.
as you say, being directed by everyone else's. It's good to have opinions and it's great to share opinions, but never, ever, ever let other people's opinions drown out your own heart.
Mm.
Absolutely, Cameron. Thank you for sharing that.
I
It's
just,
spot
I
on.
just felt I had to today,
Yeah,
um, because we sometimes there must have been time. There's definitely been times in my life where I felt I've had to behave or be in a certain way to please other people, to fit in. I've seen it with my son. I've seen it with friends, but you know, it's almost like you're in a chrysalis,
yeah,
and when that beautiful butterfly comes out, the person that you're meant to be, it's empowering. And when you fly and you do all the things that you want to do and should be doing, it's it's absolutely wonderful. It
yeah,
really is. It's wonderful to see and it's wonderful to do as well because I've done it and I've seen it. So yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Eunice has just said, always be yourself. You will be led if only you listen from within. I like that, Eunice. That could be a wonderful quote. I like
Yes.
that.
Do you know, I knew as soon as you read that it would certainly be up Eunice Street. Ashley Oliver says, I've just joined and what a beautiful energy to come in on. Very lovely.
Oh, thank
Absolutely,
you,
yeah.
Ashley. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know what? It's funny, really. You know how we always say, "Oh, there's a thread weaving through the week."
Yes.
Um, you've absolutely nailed this week's thread for me, actually, because I told a group of people a story last night, and I think it's when I say how much that poem means to me, I think it's important to back that up with evidence. So, Mother, if you want to mute me for 5 minutes, feel free to do so. But I just want to say something that proves how much that means to me, and that it truly was the only way I saved me being here. When I was a kid, like many others, I'm not saying I was alone, I certainly wasn't. But when I was a kid, I was different, for many, many reasons, darling. Um, and so that was noted and made use of by those who wanted to control, to be in charge, and to lead from the front in a way that was not allowing anyone to follow. that certainly that they didn't approve of. And so I was beat up on a lot. I grew up and was educated in a time where something was in control of education, and that was called Section 28. And it meant that schools and organizations were not allowed to educate in any positive way about sexual orientation.
Yeah.
I was beaten up, not just by one person. He threw a stone at me. I must say, here and now, online, years later, he sent me a message and said sorry, and that I was wrong, and he basically humbly begged for my forgiveness. And I simply said, there's nothing to forgive. You were a kid, you were acting out, you're not the same person now. So as far as I'm concerned, that person who did that is no longer in existence, and you've demonstrated that to me. But if you want me to say the words, I will indeed say I forgive you. But there was a large group of people standing around me at the time, taking their turn to kick me in the back.
Yeah.
And it was stopped by the head teacher,
Thank God.
who then told me that if I didn't behave and say strange things, people wouldn't do it to me.
Oh dear.
And I carried that for a long time. I did carry that for a long time. And in part, I believe Section 28 was heavily involved in allowing that to happen, because to say, oh, don't worry, you'll be all right, would have been a supportive education. And Section 28 prevented that. So I strongly believe that that period of time that that rule was in existence did that to a lot of people, and even worse to a lot of people. But it wasn't until I found my own forest
Yes.
that allowed me to be a tree and just breathe of its own. And you know what? Even if the butterfly's antenna are representative of a pair of fingers, I certainly feel like I've done that too. And I think everybody can. In those moments, you feel like you can't. But once you find your forest, once you find your grove, once you find those people that you resonate with, you will be fine. But in that moment, you will never believe those words. But I can promise, and words like Karen has just described will inspire people. So when I see groups of people segregating based on a thought, a feeling, emotion, I do get sprung up like a coil. When I see people who claim to be spiritual pushing people to one extreme or the other, I do get upset about it, because I've been there. It might not be the same scenario, it might not be the same situation, but the result is always the same. You will feel never good enough based on these extreme views. When what Karen has just told us all, my friends, and just as there are two of them in Ashley's comment, the rainbow means that everyone is part of a greater whole and should just allowed to be. And to judge people based on what they think or feel, how they've lived their life and love, so long as it's not affecting you, what business is it of you? So long as they are a kind and decent person just wanting to live their life, for God's sakes, let them, because you don't know what damage you're doing by standing at one end or another of those extremes. So I don't preach. I try not to anyway. But if there was ever anything that I would stand up on a pulpit and preach, it would be stop putting everyone in red or violet. Remember that all of the colors in between come together to make that one whole white light of illumination and upliftment. And I am grateful for my experiences. It might sound strange to say that, but I am, because without those experiences, I wouldn't know and wouldn't be able to help other people. And it's taken a long time to get there. But that poem, Karen, truly reminds me of the positive result of what happened in my youth, not the negative.
I
So
think it's
I just
wonderful
want to
that you
share that.
can look at that. I think that's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that, Nick, with everybody. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely agree. I know that mum gets upset when I tell that story. So please send your loving thoughts to mum to uplift her a bit, because as much as she might have felt in that time that she couldn't have done anything about it, she couldn't. She wasn't there. When she found out about it, oh my God, she was there. And I am so grateful to the parents that I have, because the attitude that I have towards it and the way I feel about it has come from them, mum and dad. Their education on how to live my life and deal with people and how to treat people comes from a place of true spirituality. Mum and dad, when I get off on one and I start ranting and raving with long-winded stories and fancy words, like they were always like, "We don't know where he gets it from." I might not have got the words from them, but the meaning I definitely got from them. And I wouldn't be here as I am today without their support and their strength. So she should never think for a second that she didn't do anything or couldn't do anything, because by God, she did. And I love what Chrissy Wheatley has just said as well. There is no need for bullying. It affects your life. It affects you for life and their actions. But it must have taken a lot to ask for forgiveness. Absolutely. And that's why it was earned. That's why it was earned. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what?
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Um, I'm a mum of a bullied boy, so I know, I know we're coming from a mum's perspective, and I was bullied as well when I was younger,
Yeah.
slightly. Um, but do you know what? The foundation that that I know that your mum gave you, that your mum and dad gave you, Nick, is the same foundation of love that we gave William. And all you can do is tell them that they're fabulous, that we love them no matter what, and be true to yourself. And do you know what? It's I love, as you know, everybody, I love a little bit of synchronicity, and I didn't know that about you, Nick, but
No.
you meeting up with your bully and him asking for forgiveness was very similar to William. He bumped into somebody in London in the street, somebody that was awful to him when he was a kid. And he was a bit wary of, he saw William and William saw him. And they met in the street in London and they sort of like, he admitted that he was horrible to William, and they sort of like accepted each other and they spoke about their life, and I think that that boy was he was upset for his actions
Yeah.
as a younger person, and they met as men.
Yeah.
So it was I do know that, and when your child is going through hell and you've got no idea what it's like, it's tough.
Yeah.
But like Mama Brown, I was Mama Wood, and I was well, I can't I was the red hair, the feistiness of me came out big time, and I was up for school. I was not a happy bunny. But we have the right in life to be who we want to be and do what we want to do, obviously within reason of the law and obviously things like that. But to share and to speak our truth and to live our lives under the law and have our friends and not be looking over our shoulder or worried what we're going to be saying if we're going to sort of upset people.
Yeah.
And you are a wonderful man, Nick, and it's I love working with you. And the more I get to know you, the more connections that we have.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's true. It's true. The synchronicity of life does tie us all together. And thank you everyone for sending your love to Mama B. I know she's going to have a visitor soon for a cup of tea, if not already.
Oh,
So
that's good.
it may well be that she didn't even hear it, but I know she'll look on what catch up. So, um, and this is the thing, I am grateful for my experiences, because I know that I will never walk by someone who's being victimized. I will never be silent when I see someone being cruel or capricious. and I will always do my best to make sure that I'm not saying something that will leave someone worrying. But when it comes to someone who's accepted they made a mistake and seeking forgiveness, the one thing that really got into my head and I really thought long and hard about is that moment gives me, as the victim, a sense of closure. It
Yes.
also gives me, as someone who cares about other people, the joy in knowing that that person will never act that way to anyone else again, which means that there's one more weapon off the battlefield.
Yes.
But what we must also consider that even though being told we forgive them may help them in some way, they will still, if they're the decent person they are for asking, they will still be carrying the burden of their actions with them way longer than the scars or the burden that I carried, because that's just how decent people work. And everyone grows up and everyone gets over the frivolity and the silliness and the mistakes of youth. But when you've done something that you have to physically go hunting someone on Facebook after 20 years to apologize, you're carrying something around with you, and that's a burden. And hopefully speaking will have alleviated that burden. But I know he'll be carrying a burden of what he did way longer than it took me to get over it. But this is the principles of spiritualism. This is at the core of what spiritualism is. It's about fixing our mistakes in the here and now while we still can, rather than waiting
Absolutely.
to get up there and have a garden to tend or a young child to watch over and protect. Deal with
Yeah.
the mistakes we make now. I've made a few and I do my very, very best to fix them in the moment, because I know that it's more important to fix the problems that we create for ourselves and each other here in the now on the earth plane than it is up there, because it shows the evolution of the human soul in the here and now. And so
Yeah.
I am probably sometimes a little bit too forgiving, but I'd much rather be too forgiving than not, if the truth be told, because I then don't carry that burden with me anymore. And I don't, and you can't, because
No.
it will eat you up even more. And if they haven't
Yeah.
changed and haven't grown, they'll just be winning even more, won't they?
Well, eternal progress is open to every
Every
human
soul.
soul. Yes.
Richard, you were going to say something, mate.
Ah,
Ah, amen, Richard. Can I tell everybody? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Getting a bit more back onto getting a bit more back onto the show. Sorry for that, but I felt inspired to do so as Karen was inspired by her. And if you know what, if our conversation this morning, these last 15 minutes, has helped someone, job done as far as I'm
exactly.
concerned. But I know that that message will spread even further, because for those that follow TikTok, um, they'll know that Richard posts the videos of the what ifs, and he shares
Yes.
them to the TikTok account. And this conversation has inspired the next what if, and he's just started writing. And so, if you haven't seen any of the what ifs, get over to TikTok and have a look. Um, and Richard has just started penning, based on that conversation, the next what if. And so far, he's got this. What if the act of forgiving those who bullied you in the past was not just about letting go of grudges, but about reclaiming your power and defining your future? Imagine the strength it takes to forgive, to look past the hurt and see the opportunity for personal growth and resilience. Amazing, mate. Amazing.
Absolutely. Beautiful words, Richard. You've got a lovely voice and a lovely way with words.
Absolutely.
Very, very inspiring. And, to inspire is also about, for me, what spiritualism does. It inspires you to find your true self and to understand you and be the person, as my dad always used to say to me, be the person that you were meant to be. Don't worry about everybody else. Just be
Yeah.
you. And that's what it's all about. And when you actually when you connect with yourself and you're doing your stuff and living your life, then that has a knock-on effect on the people around you too. And
Yeah.
it gives me a great sense of pride to see William doing his stuff, going around the world like Alan Wicker and Michael Palin, traveling, entertaining, writing, and being just being him. And I'm sure Mama Brown has the same sense of pride for you, Nick.
Bless you. I just want to share what Ellie Sunshine, wonderful name. We've already said that, but I'm going to say it
I
twice.
know, it's lovely.
Ellie Sunshine says it's so true that it makes you a better person. At the time, it is the most soul destroying feeling, but the growth we get is so much more than we could imagine. Forgiveness is the kindest thing we can do. I had a similar situation, but the bully was my now sister in law. Wow.
Oh my God,
Wow.
wow.
And Richard says thank you because Ellie has said that she loves the what ifs. And it's wonderful guidance. And one of his TikTok lives made things so much clearer and inspiring. And Richard says you're very welcome. Yeah, it's like channeling spirit there, isn't it?
It is.
Um, Richard's
He's off
Karen.
now. He's off.
We can get away with what we want for 5 minutes because he needs to
We
finish the
can.
rest of the what if in
Yes.
his head.
So
Um,
he's not paying attention to us.
um,
Oh,
See, this
what
is
shall we
where
do? What shall we do?
oh, I don't know. Just don't say any naughty words because it will be saved for all time, and he will know. The amount of times I've nearly said something that I shouldn't do, and had to reel myself back in. But I do. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful actions. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness that can hold you back. That's a continuation. Wow, love it. That's a continuation.
Amazing. That's
What if?
amazing. I like that.
So
I like
get
that.
get yourself over to TikTok and have a look at the TikToks because he's almost finished. And if you want to see how it ends, you've got to be on TikTok and have a look. Um,
Absolutely.
and I just think it's amazing what he's done. Actually, I really, really do. And thank you all for sharing your truths as well. Yes,
Yes.
it does feel like the long night of the soul, but I think sometimes when I come out with these, slightly poetic phrases to make people feel better, people often wonder that it might be from a book or that it's something I've been told to say. But when I say to people the phrase, we are not measured by how tall we are in difficult times. We are
I
measured
like
by
that.
how tall we are when we stand back up again. After hearing what I've just described, I mean it.
Yes.
Because we are measured by how tall we are when we pick ourselves back up. If life was easy and you roll through it with no problems whatsoever, fine. That's great for you and brilliant. And I know it doesn't happen to very many people, but you're not measured by how tall you are in those times. You are measured by how tall you are when you pull yourself back up from your hind legs and stand up and put your chin in the air and start moving forward again. And your measurement is only ever updated every time you fall back down and stand back up again. So never ever worry that you're falling down and hurting because you're not measured at that point. It's when you pull yourself back up on your cankles, and you always will be.
You know what, Nick? On a lighter note, I used to say to my mum was a wonderful, inspiring lady, and she always reminds me. Do you remember the Weebles that you, as a kid, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall
Don't fall
down?
down. Yeah.
But that's what I used to call my mum. She was a Weeble because she wobbled, but she didn't fall. She
Yeah.
got there, but she sort of moved herself around. And she was probably one of the. Well, she was the strongest woman that I know. She went through so much in her life, and but she kept going, and she was an inspiration. to me. But every, it's funny when you and what brought her joy towards the end of her life was the time that she spent with William, my son. She said he lights up my life, and it was so wonderful to see the relationship as grandparents, how they built the relationship,
Yeah.
and all the people that come into your life, they can uplift you, they can challenge you, they can fall in love with you. All these different people that come into our pathway, and
Yeah.
some stay for is it a week, a season, or a lifetime?
Yeah.
And we have to remember that, because sometimes people come into your life and then they go, and then
Yeah.
sometimes people stay for a while, um, maybe in relationships, and you think, why did that person come into my life and then go? But then
Yeah.
there's people that stick with you through thick and thin, and they
Yeah.
are not always family. It's people that you
Absolutely.
meet when you're young, or when a monumental thing happens in your life. And when I met one of my closest friends, Deb, we were young mums together, and she opened the door for me at a toddler group in a church. And we've been friends now for 33 years,
Yeah.
and we've been there for each other through thick and thin. And it was her that brought me into spiritualism. So I love all these connections and synchronicities, as you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. And you know what? There is you've just hit a really, really important point there about the connections we make, and it's not always family. Um, there is one very well-known phrase that is used so much in life in the English language that is so completely wrong, and I can prove it because people use the phrase "blood is thicker than water" to
Yeah.
describe how important family is without actually knowing what it means. Because, in actual fact, that is actually a use of a term from the Bible. But the problem is, that's, oh, bless Neil. How long have I been in your life, Karen? Bless you for putting up with me. Bless your heart. Well,
Oh,
this one's about to sum it up. People use the phrase blood is thicker than water, but actually, it's from the passage of the Bible that says that the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning the choices we make are bolder and stronger than genetics. So when people throw blood is thicker than water at you, remind them that they're actually mistranslating and misquoting on the grandest scale,
yeah.
because the
Yeah.
choices we make are much more invaluable than what you are, you know, genetically born into. I've been really, really lucky. I've got a beautiful spiritual family and a beautiful physical family. But
Yes.
I know not
Yeah.
everybody is as lucky as that.
No, I know.
So
I know
so
that.
remember the choices you make, they weigh more every time.
Well, I call Neil my spiritual brother, because we are. I do. He's like the brother I never had. I've got a sister, but I haven't got a brother, and he's like my baby brother. That I so, and we are close, and I am like I do very protective of him.
Yeah.
Text me when you get home, and we talk every day, and we've got that wonderful connection. And it is like he's my family.
Yeah.
He is part of my family.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So yes, Chrissy's just said, I don't think blood is thicker than water because family don't always stick by you, and that kind of proves the point of why
yes,
people are actually mistranslating that statement. To throw that, if half a dozen people get that phrase thrown at them, they can now disagree with that. Again, I've had a good morning. Because people use these phrases without knowing where they come from and what they actually mean. And I certainly resonate a whole lot more with the covenant rather than absolutely, because the choices we make matter. By definition, Neil Payne's my online brother-in-law. You know, imagine that, Neil, you poor swine. Um, you know, so my online brother-in-law is watching today. But yeah, the connections you choose to make are always the greatest ones that you nurture. And unless you're really, really lucky to be lumbered in genetics with some beautiful people too, which many of us are, I know, but it doesn't always feel like it, and it's not always the case. So choices always matter. And we can choose to remain a victim, or we can choose to turn it into something to prevent others from being a victim. And that was the choice I made eventually. Eventually.
Absolutely. Eventually. I know
That's the
these things
important
take
condition of
time.
phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things take time. You know, it took me probably until my sort of nearing my 50s to actually discover who I was and be the person that I am now, and not worry about what other people think or what other people say. And a lot of it, unfortunately, it just takes one or two things, and it's in your head forever, because
Yeah.
you always remember the negative point and not the positive. And this is a
Yes.
good one for, especially for those of you that have got young children out there, because this was said to me 30 years ago about when your child comes home from school with their spellings or their tests, and they say, "Oh, Mum, I got 9 out of 10 today." And what do we do? "Oh, you got one wrong. Never mind the nine that you got right."
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
do we? And the headmistress gave us a talk in the school just before William was starting school, and that is I've never forgotten that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. Very, very
And
true.
we do it in mediumship, and this is why I use this story with my students, because you'll always remember the message that didn't go quite how you wanted it to go, but never mind all the messages that you gave that were
Yeah.
brilliant. Yes. Yes, I am Miss Silver 41. I am Val's friend, Val Hood in Australia. Yes, we are
Wow.
great
I love
mates,
that.
and I've known
And
her over 30 years as well.
absolutely. And you know what, Margaret Bennett, I couldn't agree more. There's the SPTV family too. It really, really
Absolutely.
is. And you guys are always on form. I've got to tell you, you absolutely are. Wow. Well, I really didn't expect it to go kind of in that direction, but you know, if it's been of use to people, who are we to, you know, decide otherwise? Um,
Shall we
I've
do
got
some
something.
healing time?
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Do you know, we are so in tune. We are so
I
in
know.
tune. I was like, well, I think now would be an appropriate time to pick up the healing book. And
Yes.
Richard's finished his TikTok, so you never know. You might get he's finished writing it. You never know the way we yak on, and he's like, oh, okay, leave him to it. It might even be done by the end of the show, knowing Richard. Oh,
Oh, he's showing. Oh, he's gonna show us a bit.
he's gonna show us the end piece. Am I all right to read this bit? Yeah, okay. There is a lot more to it, but this is the conclusion. Today, let's explore the power of forgiveness as a declaration of self-worth and commitment to moving forward. Let this be the moment you choose to let go of the past, embrace the present, and look to the future with hope, courage, and an unshakable belief in your own ability to make something truly remarkable for yourself.
Wow.
Boom.
Thank you, Richard.
Awesome,
Yes.
my man. Bless him. That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's spreading the love. It's spreading the love, isn't it?
Sharing the love. I know. I'm not as
I
honey
know.
voiced as Richard, darling. You know
No,
that
no, but
that'd
but
be fair.
the sentiment comes across just as well, Nick. The
Absolutely.
sentiment.
That'll be 30 years of naughties. Um, over,
I know.
over over a year since I quit, and it's hard to believe, but you know, loving it still. So we are, of course, going to do, as Karen said, it's now time for our healing segment. And so, what shall we say to Richard for the first time? Oh,
Yes, we're getting carried away this morning.
I'm a
We're
little
getting
bit
carried
lost, darling.
away.
Little bit. Oh dear, a little bit. Ooh, a little bit. Oh, never mind. Right. So now is the time for our healing segment. So you can ask for healing, and we will enter the names into our Wednesday healing book, the Let Loose healing book. That we have stored here. Karen will read out the names. I'll write them in, and we'll double check afterwards as well. So now is your opportunity to send healing to all those who are sick and suffering in need of comfort. And it doesn't matter whether they're in need of comfort of the mind, the body, or the spirit. This is the opportunity to ask. You can ask for those you know, those you don't know, and in particular those that you do not know or have anyone else to ask for them. You can ask for them now. And I'm always reminded that it's absolutely vital to ask for yourself. And I would like to remind people that you can ask for animals, because I'm going to ask that you send your healing thoughts to a very dear friend of mine. He's a 9-year-old lop-eared Dutch rabbit called Snoopy. So please send your healing to Snoopy, please, because he's my mate and he's not too good at the moment. So it's Reverend Ashley, is it a year since you left the Muggle world, Nick? Something like that, yeah.
Yes.
Certainly is, certainly is. But yes, so you can ask for animals, you can ask for yourself, and you can ask for each other. And now's the time. So if you'd like to comment for all those people who are in need, I believe we have a VT to kick the ball off. And so for the first time today, Karen, what time?
It's Roland Richard time.
So that's all right. That's all right. I got my head down, ready to the book. I'm writing Snoopy.
So we got healing for Snoopy. And could you please write in, Nick, healing for Chrissy and Eve? Because one's just come out of hospital and one will be going into hospital next week. And I know she won't admit it, but she is a little bit scared. So,
Absolutely.
yes.
And rolling in the comments from home.
Serendipity would like healing for her tortoise. Hopefully he's healthy, but I don't want massive vet bills. I understand that. And Neil would like healing for Linda Stevens, Sandra Stevenson, his mum, Raf Robson, his sister, Michelle Payne, and his auntie, Cammy Golden.
Yeah. Got it.
Tonya would like healing sent to her mum, grandma, Kenya and Betty, and herself.
Yep.
Ashley would like healing for Lindsay, Leanne, and Chewy the dog.
I love that name, by the way. Chewy the dog.
Ellie Sunshine would like healing for Bev and Wendy.
Lovely.
Margaret Bennett would like healing for her daughter Gillian. And it's a hard day for her today, so we're sending thoughts there.
Yep.
Asta Karen would like healing for Elliot and herself.
Indeed.
Rhonda Pochin would like healing for her son Jack. And Rebecca would like healing for herself as she's struggling.
Yep.
Neil would also like to send healing to John Gibbons' family because John's just passed to the spirit world.
Okay, got that.
Angela would like healing for herself and for Fran.
All right.
Cara Louise would like healing for herself.
Absolutely.
It's important to have healing for yourself.
Yes. Sometimes the hardest question.
Absolutely. Joanna Ripper would like healing for all who need it. And Janice Clark Evans would like healing for her family. Sylvia Raffin would like healing for Kevin, John, Fiona, and herself.
Yep.
And Miss Silver 41 would like healing for Nick and Jill. Helen Smith is sending healing for all on here, whether it's mental or physical.
Yeah, I did. And I will also just add Linda, and I will also add my friend Julia. Yeah. So Linda Mum, and also I'll thank you, Joanne Ripper. Bless you. And I'll also add my friend Julie and her family too. And there we are.
Angela's just said I'm going to start healing again, Nick. With Barbie, you are also looking well. So she's
well done, Angela.
More healers out there, which is definitely needed. So well done.
Good on you, doll. Good on you.
Thank you, everyone.
Excellent. And so, healing thoughts to all. God bless you all. Thank you. Time for a quick break. And so we're just technicalizing. So thank you for those who've sent out their healing thoughts. And here we go. We'll see you in a moment.
Help Spiritual Psychics TV grow our TikTok channel. Connect with us at sptv UK. We're on a journey to reach our next milestone, and we need your help. Follow us today and support us going live. Imagine getting personalised readings, discovering your card of the day, and so much more. Don't miss out on the opportunity to explore new adventures with us. Follow, engage, and transform. Join our growing community at Spiritual Psychics TV with @SPTV UK on TikTok.
Introducing the SPTV app, your digital spiritual guide for an enlightening journey like no other. Immerse yourself in a world of audio and visual content crafted to inspire, educate, and entertain. Seek guidance with our card of the day, choosing up to 6 cards for personal insights. Enhance your daily life with our wellness section, featuring nutritious recipes, affirmations, and balanced living tips. Explore our spiritualism section for a deep understanding of the religion, its principles, and spiritual answers. Unravel the secrets of the clairs and broaden your spiritual horizon. Easily find local readers, therapists, centers, or churches with our comprehensive directory. Stay connected with live broadcasts, check our schedule, and get to know our insightful presenters. delve into the meanings of angel numbers, crystals, and a comprehensive list of divination meanings. All of this and more, available for free on the SPTV app. Download now at sptv.uk/app and start your journey with your digital spiritual guide.
Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. UK time, join Jordan Richards for his insightful show featuring joint mediumship communication with guests. The show includes soulful development coaching. Don't miss it.
Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time as we welcome Paul Bannister for a captivating live interview and talk show, Spiritual Talk. Tune in for insightful discussions with special guests and live readings that promise to inspire and enlighten.
We are back. We are minty fresh. We are healing the world, and we are Karen Wood and Nick Brown let loose to the world. And it's time to let loose the spirit world too, as we connect with your loved ones.
Yes. Oh, and it's been an emotional morning, but it's been a wonderful morning.
Absolutely.
Inspiration. Thank you for all your comments and sharing your views. It means a lot. It really does.
Absolutely.
But I love the way the energy changes and we move into a different vibe. For each show that we do, Nick, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I will say that the head teacher
Yes.
involved in that story is now in the spirit world.
Right.
And ironically, I did get a message one week from him.
Really? Oh,
So
wow.
I have made my peace with him too, I will just say.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
You know, because for a hot second there, it felt like he was being left out of the forgiveness. He hasn't been. He has grown too in the spirit world, as we all do, at our own rate. And in life too. So yes, I will just add that he wasn't left out of the forgiveness wagon. He's in a carriage somewhere, sitting quite comfortably. So as we said, we are linking into spirit, and I have someone building up with me because I was cheeky and convinced Karen to go first on Monday, so it's my turn today. As I make, thank you. As I connect, I'm very much, the minty fresh bit was important. Oh, spearmint shoes. I love spearmint shoes, whoever you are, thank you so much. I always get a funny feeling in the back of my mouth. So it was somebody who did like to chew on things, and one of them was spearmint shoes. As this thank you. Oh, you're good today, darling. Well done. As this lady steps forward, I do know that she would have had head pains, and I was wondering, what that could mean to begin with. But she instantly gave me a little bit more information, because as I put my hand on my head, I felt like I was feverish. So I know that there would have been a really, really bad high blood pressure problem. And as I say that, my chest is now absolutely pounding. So that's just a bit more confirmation that this lady suffered for a very long time with high blood pressure, that she would have had the headaches, she would have had that slightly heated fever feel that you get with it, and the palpitations as well. As she gets a little bit closer, I'm being reminded, of course, that she did have breathing issues. When I say breathing issues, it's almost like when she breathed towards the later years of her life, when she would breathe, she would squeak. It's the way the air would pass through her sinuses. It would make that little squeaky noise that we get when we have sinus problems. As someone who suffers from sinus problems, I'm very much aware of that, and anyone who has them has my sympathies. This lady was a talker. Oh my God, she was always aware of it, and sometimes would play it up. And although she felt in herself quite messed up, especially with the blood pressure and the physical feelings, she never theme time, she never gave up fighting. She wouldn't complain about it, she wouldn't whittle about it, she wouldn't worry about it. As she steps a little bit closer, thank you, darling. As she comes closer, I'm very much aware that she was in charge, because I'm here conducting the orchestra of the family, and she was that glue that held people together, and she would fight through this feeling of sometimes it really stopped her being able to talk very clearly, and she would fight and fight and fight, and she would never ever give up until she'd said her piece, done her piece, made her point, and at the very least had people, kiss and make. It's time to kiss and make up now. Time to kiss and make up. I know that she would have had pains, and I've got pains in my arms as well. So I don't know if she'd have had something like carpal tunnel, or whether she'd have had a fall and broken her wrist. But again, I've got this feeling in my arm here with her. And I want to say that she would have been around about late 60s, early 70s. Rebecca Whelan, I'm getting a lot of confirmation from yourself. So, just in case it is anybody else, if you do recognize it, please shout out. But Rebecca, if this is resonating with you, I would like to just say with that, if would you okay, right, thank you, darling. You would understand that she also would get a little bit confused in the last, I want to say, about 6 months of her life. It was not about a condition per se, just old age. She would drift off. She would get confused. She would go to say something and like, oh, bummy toots. So that is one of my favorite words ever. I've got to say, bummy toots. It's almost like she would swear without swearing. She'd have these made up words for swearing to replace naughty words, because she didn't want to be seen to be swearing. So if you can understand that, Rebecca, I use bummy toots because it's the closest one to sort of like maybe what she would have used. Mum was early 50s. Right. So if anybody but looked older, that may very well be the case then. Age can be heartless to some people. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I'm actually agree the drifting off. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. I'm actually only 17, but I've just aged so badly. So I'm feeling with her, there is this sense of humor with her as well. The reason I said about the drifting off is it's almost like this is you've been drifting off yourself and been seeing these glowing lights of many colors. It's almost like you go off in a daydream and you're seeing these lights, and she's saying that this was what I was doing too. She seems very switched on with the spirituality and is very much aware of the spirituality. So she didn't like swearing. Thank you, Rebecca. So I know that she would have been at the very least aware of this way of life and aware of the connection to the universe. And she's certainly, come into her own since being in the spirit world. And this is something that she wants to say to you. You can come into your own, and you can be. And this is very, very ladylike and very, very gentle and very informative, as she says it. You can very much be like lovely Karen's poem. And this is how she would have spoken. She says, that lovely Karen's poem is very much like how you can be, and as I know there's this little bit of a hunch forward. You can't really see it, but I know there's this little bit of a hunch forward. And the way she would have conducted herself was very much of reeling you in and being gentle. Come to mama, come here, darling. And very much in that way of nurturing you. But if you didn't listen, and if you needed a slap around the ear to say, come on now, enough, you'll be all right, she would have hardened up. But she always felt she was very much the carrot rather than the stick. but was very much aware that the stick was there if a last resort was required. And this is what she wants to say to you. Listen to that poem again, read the words of that poem again, and live the words of that poem again, because you are the master. She would have told you, you are the master of your own destiny, and nobody can tell you how to live your life. You're the one who makes the change. You're the one who can turn that frown upside up. That's so cheesy. Thank you, darling. You can turn that frown upside down, because you can just look at things from a different perspective, just like Richard was actually saying during the break. You wouldn't have heard it, we did, but Richard was saying about looking at things from a different perspective makes things seem much different in the cold light of day. And this is what she wants for you, to see things different in the cold light of day, to see things differently and see things from a different perspective, to make that change for yourself, because she will be there guiding you and watching you and pushing you forward. And so I will leave all of her love with you, Rebecca. But as she starts to step away, I don't know why I've got to do this, but she's just saying, lost mum in your teens, bless your heart. So it's never easy to lose them before they've done everything that they need to do. But she gave you everything that you need because you're still here. And the last thing she wants me to do, I don't know whether this is something that she would have done at the end of a conversation or whether it's symbolic to say to you, this is what you need to do. But she just made me take her glasses off. All right. Okay. So we're gonna polish the glass now, and we're gonna put them back on and see things all the clearer. And I'll say, God bless you, and leave her love with you.
Oh, that's beautiful, Nick. Lovely. I love that. Thank you. Now, I have a lady that draws close to me, and I know that she's mum. And I also know that she wants to reach out to her daughter. And I just feel here that she's making me aware that there's a lots of emotion here. And her words in my mind she gave me was, I wasn't the greatest mum, but I tried my best. And I just get a sense with this lady that she was a young mum. She was a very young mum when she had you. And I do feel that you and her in your younger days would have locked horns with her. And she's saying, I know I made mistakes because I still was young and I still wanted to have my own life. And sometimes I put myself before you, and I shouldn't have done. But I do feel with her that she wants to, things got better, and she can't thank you enough for being there for her when she was poorly, because she said, you looked after me much better than I looked after you. And this is hard for her to say that. This is how she's feeling. So, because she feels that she could have been, the responsibility of motherhood was hard for her. And she just wants to say that she did the best that she could. Now, I'm also hearing the name Kate. So I don't know if there's a Kate out in the wonderful SPTV family that can understand this. But the emotion that I'm feeling is quite immense. And it's like she's sort of weighing things up now. She's in the spirit world, but she was so grateful that she managed to sort things out with you before she went over. And I feel that you looked after her. And I don't know if anybody can understand this. If you can, please put your names in pop your fan in the comments. Yes, Richard. Nothing yet. Okay. All right then. Well, please put your names in the comments if you can understand this. I know that this lady would have had problems with her chest, her heart in particular, and I don't feel that she was that old before she passed to spirit. Now, right, okay. Katie Brindley, you can understand this with Nan, not Mum. Okay, Katie. Can you understand that she was a young mum when she's definitely, you can understand it, Margaret, as well. Okay. So, and Dawn. Okay. Now, would you understand the name Kate? Because I know the name Kate is significant, and I know that she struggled being a mum, this lady, when she was a young mum. I've got 17, I've got 17, not 8, not 17, 18. And she said she wanted to speak to her daughter. So, Katie, I don't think I'm with you. I just feel it's got to be mum to daughter. That's what I feel. Because she wants to acknowledge the connection that um, she had with you towards the end of her life. And you don't know how that made me feel, because it's sort of like bridged the gap, because there must have been also a gap when you weren't on good terms, I feel, but it's like you came back together again. Something happened with the family where you came back together again. So if someone can acknowledge that, then that's the person that I'm with, because I can see a bridge, and I know that there was that this gap was bridged, and it was something also to do with the family. You can understand that, Katie, but not as mum. Can anybody else understand? Can anybody understand? Anybody else understand that? Um,
Yeah.
Nothing else yet. Okay.
And don't
Now,
forget, Katie is an extension of the name Kate as well. So
oh, of course, yeah, of course. I did. Uh, well, I have met Katie. She's actually the medium. She's a medium. Yeah, I have met Katie. Yeah, she works in your area, Richard. She's from your neck of the woods. Yeah, yeah, she's from your neck of the woods. I met Katie a few years ago at Spirit Quest, so that's how I know Katie. Okay, so yeah, let me just get back to her. Um, right. I feel this lady that she sometimes didn't always she didn't always say the right thing. She would put her foot in it where she would, she just said the wrong thing, and this also caused problems within the family. Dawn Simpson, you can understand this, and you said that you could understand everything else. And she said, "I'm sorry," because I think she's looking back, and she's thinking to herself, that could have been that better, and that could have been better. But do you know what I want to say to her? It is what it is, and it's good that she's trying to sort of see things from that perspective. But I also feel that she wants to try and pass this advice on to you, because you are very similar to her, and you are beating yourself up about things that are going on around you. And she wants to say, stop it, because it's not doing you any good. She's feeling your angst, she's feeling your pain, and she wants to reach out to say, learn from my mistakes, don't repeat them. And I feel this is to do with connections that you're having at the moment. She's saying, because you never know what's around the corner. Now, she's taken me to November. So I want to go to the end of November, around the 25th, 26th of November is an important anniversary. And I also feel, okay, Dawn, I'm going to stick with you because I did feel the pull there when you were there. But lovely to see you on, Katie. Now, would you understand? I just feel that there was issues with her throat, and my throat is going a little bit croaky, but I also feel it's the emotion. And she's laughing because she said, I didn't always show my emotions. I could be very flippant, but I didn't always mean it. It's because the emotions were so hard for me to show because of what happened. Right, okay, that's fine. You understand my birthday and my brother's birthday. Fantastic. It's the emotions that she's feeling, and she's saying, I wish that I was honest, and I wish that I'd showed my emotions to you, because that would have healed the rift. That would have done, but I was stubborn, and I was silly, and I was, I kept this silence up. I feel there was a silence where people didn't speak. And I also feel that, that the barriers were brought down, and she's very happy about that. And I feel like she had to sort of make up for about 7 years. I don't know why I've got 7 years, but I know 7 years is important. and she just wants, there's a relief. There's a relief that we sorted all this out, she said, because I could have gone to the spirit world with all this still going on, and where would we be? And I feel that she wants to say to you that she's grateful that I've got you, Dawn, giving the olive branch. You handed the olive branch. And she said, I know I was a little bit reluctant, but I'm so grateful that I did. And I'm so grateful for you. Okay. And so thank you for take her love. She wants to give you her love. She said that was a word I didn't use very freely when I was here, but I'm saying it now. And I love you very much. I've always loved you. And just thank you for being you. And I get the sense that this lady tried to change you in some way, or, was a little bit critical, shall we say. And she's saying, I'm so sorry for that. I shouldn't have been critical. It was just my immaturity as a mum. And I was ill-equipped, and I was learning on the job. So please forgive me. And she sends you her love. So I hope that makes sense, Dawn. Okay. Oh dear. It's one of
Beautiful.
those mornings, Nick.
It is. It really, really is. It really, really is one of those mornings. And, I think initially when I first started connecting with the next person, I thought it was going to change, but I really don't think it is. I just think the personality that is the vehicle of that message is just a little bit more woo out there. Beautiful, beautiful message, Karen. Lovely, lovely job. Well done, darling. Right. I apologize because this gentleman's been sitting in the background and he came bouldering in and was like, oh, wow, he's enjoying a good stretch as well. I just, wow. He's like, oh, we all need to stretch sometimes, just get it out of our systems. He's a really, really bold man, and he's really, really quite larger than life. He's got this really, really funny sense of humor. I've got to say, there is this campness about him that I'm absolutely loving. And he feels very theatrical in his way of behaving and working. And when I spoke about, come forward, show me your physicality, he says, well, the only thing bigger than my waistline was my personality. And there's this real gravity and depth. We talk about Richard having a really professional, voiceover voice. This is another one who would have had that gravity of voice that it could have been great on commercials. I'm being put in the mind of, Sirian McKellen, Brian Blessed type voice. That real gravity, that gravelly strength, but also once again there's this element of honey. And he was such a bubbly man, and he would have loved color. He would have intermixed it with he would have been smart yet casual, formal yet relaxed. And so he's showing himself with a kind of like some sort of hat. I can't quite see. I don't know whether it was some kind of black leather trilby type thing, but with a waistcoat that would have had badges on, and really, really smart. But then he'd have had a colourful scarf coming out of his. He's really quite an absolutely humorous character because he made use of it all. I do feel as I connect with him, he's more of an uncle or friend kind of vibration. And he's just the kind of person you wanted around every time you needed an uplift. But I am very much reminded of the tears of a clown saying in relation to this gentleman's behaviors. It's like if he was making everyone else happy, he felt happy himself. But there was a lot of sadness, there was a lot of loss, and a lot of, in his words, missed opportunity in life. That he does. He's doing karaoke now. He says, regrets, I've had a few. And so I don't know if anyone can understand this gentleman. I've not seen any comments yet, But if you can recognize this wonderful, wonderful man, please do shout out and claim him, because he's just so lovely to be around. And I feel that you would have known the two sides of him better. Whoever I'm with would have known the two sides of him much better than other people. He was quite well known in his local environment as being that character, that theatrical, uplifter. But there were very few people who knew the real him and just knew how many difficulties he'd endured. And I know that you, whoever I want to speak to, were very, very central to his universe and made a great deal of difference to who he was and how he got through. And really, he just wants to come forward and say thank you for that. As I'm not seeing anybody, oh, hang on, she was always okay. Sounds like an old friend of mine, Dave, larger than life. He is starting to step back now, because I was saying, nobody, but he's just saying whoever it is always late. So Helen, if you can understand being late, is saying, yes, you're here, you've arrived, well done, but I'm off down the pub now. So thank you anyway. And that would have been his personality. That would have been the way he behaved. So if you can understand all of that and that need for upliftment right now, of bouldering in with this huge, absolute generosity of spirit, then absolutely he's for you. But he's like always late, and there's that funny face of mock sarcasm. So I will say God bless and thank you for listening, because he didn't really have that much to say, to be honest with you. He just wanted to bring in a little bit of positivity and upliftment and a little bit of humorous gravity to the moment. So I'll say God bless and hope that was all right for you. I love it. You can come back after you've been down the pub. We'll have a giggle.
Oh, that was hilarious. I love the way that you took on his personality there, Nick. Absolutely fabulous. I love it. I love it. Okay. I've got a lady here, and I feel that she's mum-in-law. And I do feel that she was quite a feisty lady, I want to say. And I also want to say that she would speak her truth. If you asked her a question, just be mindful that you'd get the answer that you might not particularly want. I also feel that she would have been very outspoken when you didn't want her to be, and she didn't realize how loud her voice could be sometimes. And I just feel that you were all trying to shush up because of some of the things that she said. I feel that she was quite a heavy smoker, and I feel that there would have been some chest issues around her. But I feel she also passed with cancer as well. And she loved a market. She's taken me to markets, and I like a market. So we're down the market. So I know the market is there's a connection there. She liked also to find out news about people. And sometimes communication or keeping in touch could be a little bit of a one-way street. She would say, well, they haven't phoned me, or I haven't heard from them. And she didn't realize that, she could pick up the phone as well. And oh, Melanie, you can understand that. That she could actually pick up the phone. And I do feel that people in the family will say, well, you can ring her mum, it does work two ways, but everybody had to phone her or go round and see her. I do feel that she was a very generous lady. And if you said you liked McVitie's chocolate digestive, she'd buy you about 6 packets. I just feel that, she'd treat you to things that you need as a way of showing that she cared. That's the sort of feeling that I get with her. I don't feel that she would have been interested in mediumship or spiritualism or anything like that. But she was a very hard-working lady, extremely hard-working, and I feel that she would have worked in a place like a factory or sort of where she worked with a team of people. And she loved the camaraderie and the banter. She loved that. She loved the camaraderie and the banter. But this smoking, I just feel that you couldn't tell her it was bad for her because she wouldn't listen. I've smoked since I was 14 and it's not doing me any harm, even though that she would be coughing and spluttering first thing in the morning. But she sort of wouldn't admit that it was going to be a problem. But she's coming, Melanie, because I just feel that she wants to bring some upliftment to you. And I feel she wants to give you her feistiness because she's saying that someone's got to be told. He's got to be told. He's got to be told. This can't carry on. This is the feeling that I'm getting. She's sort of laying down the law. Now, you have some of her jewellery, I feel. She's talking about a necklace that I feel that you received either before she passed, because I feel she might have dished out bits of jewellery before she passed to the spirit world. I've got this generosity of spirit with her. She was a very, very generous lady, and she's just coming forward, and she just wants to say that she wants you to, you've got to speak your truth. There must be something going on around you where you've got to speak your truth. And I feel she's sort of like pushing you to say, "Go on, girl, tell him what for." This is what she's saying. She is a wonderful character, and I do feel that when there's still little things that she would come out with that you still remember and that you still talk about. And she loved a bit of a buffet. You know, she loved all the vol au vents, and she's talking about prepping for a party with the pineapple and cheese in the grapefruit, putting the foil over it, making the grapefruit look like a hedgehog, and all the buffet food. She liked things traditional. So if there was a wedding, it had to be the traditional buffet food, not the things that they do today, where there's gin wagons and pizzas and burgers and things like that. She likes traditional party buffet food. And I do feel she liked to drop a gin and lime or gin and tonic. She wasn't a great drinker, I feel, but if she had a drink, it would be gin. So this is what she's making me aware of. So take her love and know that she's there for you, giving a feisty personality to you. So thank you for taking it, Amy.
Wonderful. Do you know what? One of my favourite things to see someone say in a chat box when you're watching them getting a reading online is the OMG one. That it just makes it all worthwhile. Well done, Dole. That was awesome. Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Well, friends, believe it or not, we are close to the end of our time together today. Please, though, remember some really, really important stuff. Of course, tomorrow we've got the wonderful Jordan Richardson, and Paul Bannister is also with us on SPTV. Both really, really great shows, so do look out for them. Do not forget, of course, that there is that wonderful, wonderful platform called Ticky Tock 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 Tick, where Richard is showcasing his card reading prowess, amongst other things as well. And especially, keep an eye out for that What If based on today's show, actually, which is really cool. But thank you all so much for being with us. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you, Karen, and you, of course, Richard. I don't know why I look skyward whenever I talk about him. You get.
We think he's up there.
Thank you, Richard.
The dove from above.
Yeah, the dove. So I don't know whether to look skyward when I address Richard or just go, "Thank you, dear," talking to the earphone. But thank you all as well for being part of it. We will, of course, continue to send out healing to all those listed in our Absent Healing book, those from today and previous weeks, of course, as well. And Karen, my darling, thank you so much for sharing 2 days of your week with me.
I know. Well, it's been my pleasure to be with you today, Nick and Richard, and to all of our wonderful SPTV family. And it's been an emotional one, but I think it's been needed. and it's definitely touched my heart. And thank you again, Nick, for sharing your story. Thank you, Richard, for the wonderful what if information. And I've just blown away. I've been blown away by today. It's really moved me. So thank you for being part of my morning. And we will see you all again on Monday. So stay tuned to TikTok, stay tuned to SPTV, because it's a wonderful channel to be part of. And there's so much going on, and it has so much to offer. So thank you.
Absolutely, indeed. I second, third, and fourth that. Karen, pleasure. Friends, it's been wonderful. Richard, cheers, mate. Keep it going. And until Monday, of course, when we will return to brighten your day, we say keep it loose and keep it spiritual. God bless all.
Bye.